God, we give you praise, we give you thanks for another day. Pray that your name be exalted, O God, in the name of Jesus. Amen. That's weird. Why is it so low? So low. Yeah. Fight come on. I don't want to wait for coming to 30 minutes of praise. Huh? I did. It's all the way to the top. Yeah? I might use the other phone because for some reason, that's it. Yeah. Yeah, I changed songs for some reason. Let me see. It's low. I don't want to have good evening.
Your name is Jehovah. Your name is Elohim. At the mention of your name, every knee must bow. At the mention of your name, every tongue shall confess that you are the
Covenant keeping God.
There is no one like you. Help me say, covenant
Keeping God. There is no one like you. Alpha, Omega. There is no one like you. This is so faint. Welcome Instagram, welcome Facebook, welcome YouTube. Keeping God, there's no one like you. Oh, but I'm keeping God. There's no one like you. Alpha and Omega. There is no one like you. Come and I'm keeping God. There's no one like you. Alpha Omega. There's no one like you. Oh my God. How y'all doing? Omega, like you. Guys, how was your day? I forgot my phone, my actual device that I use for music at home. For some reason, this particular device is just not loud enough. So, and plus I'm feeling today's some kind of day, you know, weird. We'll have those days whereby we don't feel like we're living our best or we're feeling our best. And today is that day for me. I'm just like, not feeling it. Oops, up, and the device falls. Yeah, today's one of those days. I am definitely not feeling it. So, and that's the truth, you know. It's easy to come out here and say, oh, everything is perfect. Everything is fine. But life is not always like that. You know, that's the truth. Life is not always like that. And today's that day for me. Whereby all I want to do is just listen to a praise. And basically just reminisce. I don't know how, I mean, I can't be the only one feeling like this. I know of all, some people, probably somebody else is feeling this way right now. You know? When you feel like you've done everything, and I mean everything right, you've done everything the way you think it should be done, and you don't feel like you're getting the result that let me get a chair. Hey, you're not getting the result you really want to. So, I'm assuming we've all had those days or having those days. So, and that's the beauty of this 30 minutes of praise. Being able to be as real as possible. Because, you know, as Christians, well, we're taught to believe that, okay, it's like, because I believe that God can come through for me and will come through for me, what I feel is not valid, right? I'm not allowed to feel a certain way. But a lot of us are literally going through struggles. And sometimes you get things like, oh, don't worry, God is going to take care of you. Or it's all going to work out. I know people want to say, you know, want to try to keep a positive vibe. But also, sometimes it comes up a bit dismissive. You know? I know God is going to take care of me, but right now I need some physical answers, right? And I know sometimes we all feel that way. Hi, Sister Lynn. Happy belated birthday. You know, some days we don't feel our best. And sometimes it don't feel like everything is going the way we want. Example, we lose a loved one. Example, you know, just so many things. You know, in a day I run into different situations that just make you start asking some questions and make you start to almost question what you believe. Because sometimes the human in us has a hard time wrapping our mind and being logical, right? And being, I want to cook this so I can read. Oh, you're welcome. And being logical, but sometimes reality is reality. And sometimes it's hard to be dismissive about people's realities. And hi, thank you for coming to Udoma or on Instagram. So basically today we're just talking. We're going to praise, we're going to worship, but we're talking. Because that's what we do as a family. That's what we do as people. We all have at one time or the other gone through a struggle, going through a struggle, or will go through a struggle. And this is our way of being there for each other. As much as we praise and we pray and everything is happy, but we're not always happy. Except you want to lie to yourself. We're not always happy. Things are not always perfect. Things will not always be perfect. And that's the reality. And some days you feel like praising, and some days you're like, I'm mad at God. I really don't want to deal with God right now. And some days you even doubt He exists. And that's the reality in life. Because sometimes life hits you so hard that the pain, it's like typical example, right? When a woman is in labor, I use this because a lot of us are mothers. A woman is in labor, she's like, when I give birth to this child, I am done. I'm done, I am done. Not having any more kids, I'm done. That's it for me. And that baby comes out, you're like, oh, she's precious, or he's precious. And a few months later, you're like, I want a baby. You just forgot the pain you went through. And it's the same way with life hitting us in Christianity and, going through things in life. Because life will happen. And the thing is, while we're going through it, we have all those emotions. And that's the truth. We have all these emotions that we're going through. There are days you don't even feel like praying. It's normal. And trust me, God even knows that we will feel like that. And there are days you don't even want to praise. And not because you don't want to praise God, but just because you are so drained up here that you can't even say nothing or do anything. And for me, I have those moments when I start to feel like that. I just listen, listen to a gospel music. I might not do anything. I just let it play, and I just sit there and just be still. Because sometimes, in the midst of the chaos, sometimes we're so busy going, that sometimes God needs to get our attention, one way or the other. And for me, when I go through those moments, I sit. And I sit. I might not say anything. I might not really be in a happy mood, but I just sit. Because in my mind, I'm trying to be still to hear God, but also I'm trying to play everything, basically play scenarios back in my head. Like, could I have done anything better? Could I have better prepared for this? What do I take away from this experience? And I have those conversations with myself. But I tell you what, as we go on in life, you start to, I feel like sometimes we experience things just to be able to be there for somebody else when they go through it. Because that way, you're more sensitive to their pain. That way, you can truly relate. So when you talk to them, you're a little bit kinder in response and a bit sensitive. It's like, and again, you can't give what you don't have. So if anybody wants to share what they do when they've gone through a time whereby they felt like, for the lack of a better word, felt abandoned by God, because I know a lot of people have felt that. Or felt like things are just not working out. No matter what you've done, you did everything right. You put in the work, you did this, you did that, and nothing. So how have you handled that? Because it would be nice if we can share with each other what has worked, what hasn't worked, what we've done, what we've seen people do, I feel like this conversation might go on the whole way. I don't know. But hey, here we are. So, and for me, what? I say something. I don't envy pastors. I don't know how they do it. Sister from the South, thank you for coming to 30 Minutes of Praise. Basically, we're talking about how do you handle problem as a Christian? How do you hold on to faith? How do you react? How do you deal with pain? And also, have you seen somebody go through a hard time and how did they deal with it as a Christian? Because our faith basically teaches us to accept everything, right? It's nothing but God's grace. When do you say, okay, this is not God and this is unacceptable, versus, okay, this totally, I couldn't have done anything different. This is the will of God. God is trying to teach me something. And it's a hard place to be at. It's hard to bring it before the Lord in prayer. Yes. So you brought it before the Lord in prayer. Hi, thank you for coming. Ngozi Boy. Hi. Thank you for coming. Thank you for coming, Efobi. So basically what we're talking about today is how do you deal with situations as a Christian without being resentful to God? That's the right word. Yes, bring it before the Lord in prayer. You've done that. Matter of fact, you've been bringing it to the Lord in prayer for the last, let's just say, a year or 2 months or a month. And right now, and this is a true story, I had somebody go through what I'm sharing. This person is probably live right now, facing eviction, and then and for me, all I could do was basically say what you say, put it before the Lord, trust that God has a plan. But sometimes people want to hear more than that. I had somebody come here, and she basically came. I was in my office and I kind of seen her at the door, and I said, something doesn't look right. So she's sitting there and I walk out and I get to her and she just hugs me and just start wailing. I'm not sharing this because I'm trying to tell people's business, but I feel like sometimes just understanding the pain that people feel, and knowing that we're not alone, because some of us feel a lot of pain. Some of us are going through hell and we're not even share it because how people respond, because if people start laughing or making fun, or you just feel like you cannot get any help. So why share my problem if I can't get help, right? So she comes here and she just starts crying, and I just hugged her and I just stayed. I didn't say nothing to her and I just hugged her. And eventually we talked and she said, I have a mansion, but I can't go home. I don't want to go home. I don't want to be alone right now. Well, long story short, a few weeks later, I reached out, hey girl, I wanted to know how you're doing because of how she was the day, the previous week. And I also wanted to give her a moment just to, catch her breath before I start bombarding her with emails and messages. And she said, well, I'm in the hospital. I'm on a psych hold because I tried to kill myself. And what is sad is because I'm getting this text message from her because she didn't succeed. What if she had succeeded, right? And hurt herself? There's a lot of people in our society going through things like this. And sometimes telling them that God got you in the palm of his hand, everything is going to be okay, is not always enough. Because you think that everything is going to be okay, but they don't see that. They don't feel that. That's not your reality. And I don't have all the answers. Shoot, I got more questions than answers. And that's why I know, because when I start feeling something or something is laid in my heart to talk about, I know that there's a reason. I know there's somebody that needs to hear that. And I try not to shy away from it. So what do you say to somebody like that? And what's interesting was when she was leaving, I felt it. And I stopped her and I walked out and I told her, don't do anything stupid. And she told me, well, I'm kind of known for doing stupid things, and stupid things is my middle name. I said, well, you're not going to do this stupid things. We both knew what we were talking about. And a week later, she tried to take herself out. So, This is a reality for a lot of people. A lot of people have medical issues, mental health issues that as Christians we're not taught to deal with. We're not taught to talk about. We believe that God is going to fix it. But also some things are as easy as having us talk to people, and i.e., people on the mental health. As Christians, we're kind of the thought of therapy, the thought of a therapist, the thought of even talking to somebody is like, oh my God, you know? But sometimes it's what we need. It's what we need. And that's the sad thing, especially now going to Africa. Coming from my country, I never know anybody in my family that went to see a therapist, and that's the truth. I don't think my mother ever went to a therapist. I've never been to a therapist. Could I benefit from one? Heck yeah. We all do, because for me it's even worse because I internalize a lot of things. I don't share. The roof could be coming down on my head and you will not hear it out of my mouth. And that's the be it a good thing, it's gonna be in my mind. You know, when I'm going through something good, it's in here. When I'm going through something bad, it's in. I learned at a very, very early age not to share things. I just grew up and it just got so people like that even need therapy more than anything else because we don't tell anybody. We don't have any outlet. We don't talk to anybody. Again, the culture teaches you that, oh, you know, you don't have to tell anybody anything. But also, it's other than the fact that it teaches you that you don't have to tell anybody or share anything with anybody. Even when you do share, you become somebody's gossip topic. So it's like you really have no outlet. You can't share with your brother. You can't share with your cousin. You can't share with your aunties. You can't share with your uncles. Sure, you can't even share with your spouse sometimes. And it's just kind of a tough place to be at. No man is an island. Right? And the harder we try to do things on our own, and that's why I feel like Christianity, especially I'm talking from an African perspective, has been exploited beyond, and not just Christianity, even in the Western world, psychics are robbing people blind, left and right, because guess what? People don't have who they talk to, and then they tell you, call this 1-800 number, the psychic is going to see your future and tell you, and you're like, okay, I'm going to talk to this person, and then, they give you certain things, yeah. Again, people are gifted, don't get me wrong. I'm not even going to delve into that. And then people take advantage of that. They take advantage of people based on that. Pastors are taking advantage of their parishioners. Clerics are taking advantage. It's retarded because we don't have a better outlet. If you want to pay a therapist $100, $200, $250 per session, you're going to make it count. And when you walk out of there, other than you telling her or him or her you're trying to kill somebody, your secret is safe with them. But then also you get healthy advice, right? So, back to the question. Let me see what you said. She said, hold on to faith and continually seeking the grace of God in the scriptures. But that's where faith comes in. Exactly. Do you know what's interesting? A lot of us lose faith because you've been holding, mind you, you've been holding on to faith for since you were born, because that's all you've known. I'm speaking for me. All my life, all I've known is pray to God, and it's all going to work out. Well, that was exactly what my mother did. And one day she called me yesterday, and the next day she was dead. That's my reality. That woman prayed more than any. I don't even think I prayed half as much as she prayed. My grandpa was like that. My grandpa was 3 a.m. you go use the bathroom, he's praying. You wake up at 5 a.m. he's praying. I'm asking myself, did he ever go to bed? One day my mom was telling me, oh, I don't feel so good, and I don't know why I don't feel so good. And then she's still fasting and she's doing all this prayer. And then one day I get all this. My mom calls me and I'm literally in the kitchen cooking. And I told her, Mom, I gotta call you back. My stew's about to burn. And the next time I called back, my mom was dead. Again, situations like this make you question everything that you've ever believed, everything that you've been taught to believe. My husband went through a situation whereby I call it mad at God phase, where he wouldn't pray. He would just sit there and he would just be there and he would not participate. Because, of course, I gave him hell for, like, I say, how dare you, how dare you not, be grateful to God and this. And, of course, I was sitting on my high horse because I wasn't the one going through what he was going through. Especially if you live your life a certain way and you're straight as an arrow and you try to do things right and people still screw you over, and then you ask God for help and then you feel like God is not helping you or listening to you. And that's what he felt like. But I was too much, because again, when you're not going through something, it's easy to say, oh. So now I'm like, I literally had to apologize to him. I said, I'm sorry for ever dismissing how you felt. I'm sorry for making it seem like, oh, you didn't have a valid reason to feel the way you did. I was so happy when, he started praying to God again, and but he had that moment whereby, he was not praying. He was not trying to, no, he was done because he fasted. I saw my husband pray like I never seen any human being pray in a long time, especially for a man. So he was crushed in so many ways. So a lot of us have probably experienced this. I don't know if I've been that extreme, and I think the reason is because, again, as Christians, we hold secret resentment. Like, we hold something in our heart, but we don't show it. As sad as we feel, we still believe that God has the final say, and we will pray and we will praise and we will do all that, right? In spite of how we feel, but somehow, literally, it's like part of us gets eaten away every single time we go through those experiences. Till things get better, and then when shout out to my husband, he just came on Facebook. Hi, sweetheart. I was gossiping about you. Thank you for coming on 30 Minutes of Praise. But, and somehow something in us just eats away every time we go through a traumatic experience. Every time, typical example, I think it was late last year, it was hell. It was just hell. And I just came out, and it was interesting. Every time I came on to do a live, something lit up inside of me. I forgot everything I was experiencing. And that's the beauty, of just the presence of God. The presence of God has a way of calming you down, has a way of soothing you and making you feel better. But sometimes, some people are just stuck in that shitty feeling. And it's their reality. So the question is, again, and it's something we should all think about. How do you deal with it? Because, mind you, I told you guys about how I almost lost somebody close to me. I couldn't, and I felt so crappy because this lady could have gone to anybody, but she came to me. And I didn't know what to say to her. I really did not know what to say to her. She came to me for help and I couldn't help. She didn't want nothing. She just wanted me to tell her everything was going to be okay. Help her just to stop hurting. And I couldn't do nothing. I couldn't help her. And then, just knowing that she tried to off herself a few days later even made it worse. Because I felt like if she had come to me and I was able to help, I think things would have been better. Who knows? Maybe, maybe not. But that's just the reality of some people. You know, how do you tell a mother that is literally watching their child die? Oh, God is in control. Oh, okay, really? How about we switch roles and I tell you God is in control? You know what I mean? And it's hard. So my question today is, I cannot just be insensitive to people's reality, because it is their reality. As much as I grew up in church and I believe, I know what my faith tells me, but there are people that don't have that kind of faith. There are people that want a logical explanation. I really don't have an answer. You know, yes, I know what the scripture says, but how do you make it make sense for some people, right? You know, I was just thinking about it today, and I was just like, I believe we need to be there for everyone, no matter the situation. Yeah, but sometimes we really, you know, when they say you can't give what you don't have. Sometimes we really want to be there, and honestly, legitly, we want to be there, but we really can't. And that's the sad part. That's really the sad part, and that really bugs me, because there's so much that we really don't know about. There's so much. As people, there are things that we should be educating each other on, and we don't do it. And sometimes even the church doesn't help us, in the sense that, typical example, you know, right? When you have a headache, Tylenol, right? Why is it that when people feel like they need to talk to somebody, or else they're going to lose their mind, we tell them pray? And there's nothing wrong with prayer, don't get me wrong. It's like sometimes somebody has a stomach ache because they ate something bad. Or sometimes people have a stomach ache because they haven't eaten. You see, it's the same symptom but different underlying cause. So if I tell you, oh, don't worry, it will pass. When you ate something bad, yes, it will pass, because the bacteria eventually will leave your system. But if I tell you it will pass and you have not had something to eat for 4 days, you know what I mean? And that's the part I kind of struggle with. At what point is actually taking action the better way to go, as opposed to just telling somebody, oh, it's going to be all right, God is going to fix it? Then 2 months later, you see the person evicted. And then you tell me, as a Christian, you go talk to that person about God. Well, how do you think they're going to respond? You know, sometimes when we go feed the homeless, I see people try to, give them Bibles, and there's nothing wrong with that. But sometimes people just want to eat. Don't try to talk to me. I'm hungry. I'm cold. I'm being stolen from. The person probably got raped the night before because they're living on the street. And you're telling them that, Jesus loves you. He hasn't felt love lately, And basically, I was just talking to somebody today. I said, I have not seen this much panhandlers as I've seen lately. It's like every angle you look, there's a sign, somebody asking for help. The last time I went to go, feed the homeless, I came back and I left there literally bawling out of my mind. It wasn't the first time I went to feed the homeless, my mind. It wasn't the first time I went to feed the homeless. But for the first time, it was just like, I'm like, at what point is it enough? Because every time you go there, there's a long line, right? And I'm handing out this care package, and I'm handing it out. And I'm down, and I look in my car, and I know I'm probably down to like 3, but there's like 200 people because the line is that long. How do I tell the person after the last person that just got something, I'm sorry, I ran out? I could probably have 10 trailer loads and it still won't be enough. And that's the question that I ask every day. And how do we fix this? Will that even be a solution? Will we ever fix this? Those are the things that keep me awake at night. Those are the things that keep me awake at night, folks. You're right. We need to stand for each other and faith. Somebody. Exactly. That's what is missing. Because sometimes just standing in faith and sometimes just praying for me is not enough. Sometimes being there for me physically also helps. Right? And I feel like that's one of the missing links. So I hope I've given us something to think about today. And also don't assume everybody's fine. Don't. It's a mistake because we're human beings. We're really great actors and actresses. We all walk around with a smile on our face, but we're hurting underneath. Don't assume everybody is fine. You know, I saw a video of Adame, the actress, and they were like, oh my God, you know, she was in high spirit, everything was fine, and oh my gosh, she just died. People are hurting. And we were taught to hide our feelings. You know, imagine when you were a child, you fell and, you know, you hit your hand and you started crying. And the typical African mom will like, what happened? That's why you're crying. I better shut up. So from that age, we were taught not to address our pain. We were taught to just brave it. We're going to be fine. Nothing is going to happen. The world is not ending. You'll be fine. And so we grow up and we get better at it. I'm fine. It's okay. I'm doing great. Right? That's why we have more alcoholics and more drug addicts in this generation. Because social media is not helping it either. You know, somebody can just put on a makeup just to be able to take pictures that they can post on social media. And after they take those pictures, they wipe off their makeup and just be in their, in their depressed state. But everybody looking at those pictures, oh my gosh, she's fine, she's okay. She just posted a picture, life is good. But that's really not their reality. So basically, if you don't take anything away from today, let's learn to look out for each other. Let's learn to check on each other. And also, when you have that church member that just suddenly decides that they're not coming to church anymore, don't take it personal. It's not about you. It's not about the pastor. They probably got stuff they're dealing with. They got something they're dealing with God, and only God knows. You know? So guys, I love you. Bye-bye. Oh, Jehovah Rapha, Nisi, round like you. There is no one else like you. I love you guys. Good night, and don't stop praising.